She came to serve tables, not to steal the spotlight. But one cruel comment from a famous designer changed everything that night. No one knew a single photo of her handmade dress would take the internet by storm. By sunrise, the world had chosen a new name to celebrate. And the same dress they mocked now shone proudly across the city billboards. Maya had been working at Azure Sands Resort for almost a year. It was a beautiful place by the ocean, full of laughter, music, and luxury. But for her, it was just a job to survive. She worked double shifts to pay rent and cover her evening design classes. Every night, when her tired feet ached and her back hurt from carrying trays, she told herself it would all be worth it someday. Someday, she would stop serving people's dreams and start living her own. But that someday always felt far away. She didn't have family nearby. Her mother lived in a small town 2 states away, proud of her daughter but unable to help much. Maya rarely told her about the hard days, the rude customers, the long hours, or the small humiliations that came with wearing a plain uniform in a place full of diamonds and designer dresses. That morning, the resort was busier than usual. Everyone was running around, setting tables and fixing decorations. The staff looked nervous. A big event was happening that evening. The world-famous fashion designer Veronica Steele was hosting the private preview of her new summer collection. Billionaires, actors, and influencers were flying in for it. Every corner of the hotel had to look perfect. Maya had never seen Veronica in person, but she had heard stories, confident, stylish, always in control. She was the kind of woman people stared at when she entered a room. Maya secretly admired her. She even studied Veronica's old designs in her night classes, tracing the patterns, trying to learn from her cuts and shapes. By noon, a problem hit. The delivery truck that was supposed to bring the waitstaff uniforms got stuck on the highway because of a landslide. The manager panicked. "Half the staff doesn't have uniforms," he shouted. "We can't delay this event." Maya stood quietly near the counter, watching her manager's face turn red as he shouted into his phone. "I don't care how you fix it. We can't tell her that half my team doesn't have uniforms." Her stomach tightened. She didn't have anything fancy to wear, just a few old shirts and jeans, and none of them fit the rule. Some of her co-workers decided to go home and try to find something close to white. But Maya couldn't. Her home was too far, and her shift started soon. She walked back to her dorm room, heart racing. It was small and plain, a bed, a chair, and a single window facing the sea. She opened her locker, searching for anything she could use. Then her eyes landed on a beige linen curtain hanging near the window. The color was close to white. The fabric was clean and soft. She stood there for a moment, thinking. Then she pulled the curtain down. She laid it flat on the bed and grabbed her small sewing kit. It wasn't much, just a few needles, some thread, and old scissors. Her fingers moved quickly, cutting and folding the fabric. She had no pattern, just instinct and practice from her night classes. Slowly, the curtain began to take shape. She stitched for over an hour. The thread broke twice, and her fingers started to hurt. But she didn't stop. She added a small touch, a soft blue ribbon she found in her drawer, tying it gently around the waist. It gave the plain dress a bit of charm. When she finally lifted it up, she smiled. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't even proper white, but it was hers. She washed her face, brushed her hair, and put on the dress carefully. In the mirror, she saw a different version of herself. Simple, neat, and calm. She didn't look rich or powerful, but she looked like someone who tried her best. And that was enough. Outside, the evening was coming alive. The smell of roses and sea salt filled the air. Music floated from the ballroom where guests would soon arrive. The sky glowed orange as the sun began to set over the ocean. As she walked through the staff corridor, she caught a glimpse of herself in a glass wall. The beige dress, the soft blue ribbon, her hair tied back neatly. She didn't know that the night ahead would change her life, and that the same dress she made from an old curtain would soon be seen by the whole world. When Maya returned to the resort ballroom that evening, her heart thudded with nervous energy. The air was filled with hurried voices, clinking glasses, and the faint smell of fresh flowers. Everyone was preparing for the grand fashion preview hosted by the legendary designer Veronica Steele. It wasn't just another event. It was the event of the season. But behind the shimmer and polish, chaos ruled among the staff. The truck carrying the uniforms still hadn't arrived. Some workers were panicking, others arguing in the storage room. The manager kept pacing in circles, muttering into his phone, "No, you don't understand. These are Veronica Steele's people. We can't mess this up." Maya stood quietly near the back door, holding her beige handmade dress on a hanger. Around her, the other waiters and waitresses had tried their best to improvise. Some had borrowed white shirts from the laundry department. Others wore red scarves or tied napkins at their waists to look uniform enough. It was a mix of panic and hope. No one looked perfect, but they all just wanted to survive the night. Compared to them, Maya's outfit didn't look out of place at first glance. It wasn't a bright color or a glittering gown, just soft linen with a sky-blue ribbon around her waist. But there was something about it. Something quiet, yet graceful. Maybe it was how carefully she'd stitched it. Or maybe it was how she wore it. With calm dignity, even when her heart was trembling. She looked around the ballroom as the lights dimmed slightly, turning everything golden. Tall glass windows showed the sun melting into the ocean, waves catching the last bits of light. The room smelled of roses and expensive perfume. Tables sparkled with crystal and silverware. Maya had never seen anything so grand. She moved carefully between tables, setting down champagne flutes and straightening napkins. Every few seconds, she'd glance toward the entrance, half hoping the uniforms would still arrive in time. But they didn't. At 6 o'clock sharp, the first line of luxury cars began pulling up outside. Guests arrived like walking jewelry displays, glittering, laughing, perfectly dressed. Cameras flashed. The resort manager suddenly straightened his tie, plastering on a wide smile as if nothing had gone wrong. The staff lined up quietly, ready to serve. Maya stood at the end of the line, gripping her tray. She told herself to breathe. When Veronica Steele entered, the room seemed to change. Conversation softened. Even the waiters paused. She was taller than Maya expected, her posture straight and confident, her black sequined gown hugging her frame like it was crafted by magic. Her platinum hair shone under the chandelier lights. She didn't walk. She glided. Maya had studied her for years, tracing her designs from magazine pages late at night. She admired her creativity, her power, her fearlessness, and now she was standing right there, surrounded by people who adored her. Veronica smiled, greeting her guests warmly, her laughter ringing through the room. Cameras clicked as reporters captured her every move. Maya, meanwhile, stayed near the side, silently serving drinks and hors d'oeuvres, trying not to draw attention. The evening moved in rhythm. The music, the clinking of glasses, the hum of elegant voices. The lights were soft, the energy high. Everything looked perfect, at least on the surface. But trouble always finds a way to sneak in quietly. Maya was walking past the central table when she heard someone whisper, "Who's that?" She ignored it, focusing on the tray in her hands. She bent slightly to place a glass, and that's when it happened. The hush of curiosity turned into a low wave of laughter. "Excuse me," a clear, strong voice said. Maya froze. She turned her head slowly, and there she was, Veronica Steele, standing tall, holding her glass loosely in one hand, eyes fixed on her. For a moment, Maya's mind went blank. The billionaire designer's gaze felt like a spotlight. Around her, people stopped talking. Even the band quieted. "Is that the new staff uniform?" Veronica asked, tilting her head slightly. Her tone wasn't harsh. It was calm, sharp, and cold. Or did someone decide to recycle the resort curtains? Laughter broke out. It wasn't loud, but it cut deep. A mix of polite chuckles and hidden smirks. Maya's face went pale. Her chest tightened as if the air had suddenly turned heavier. She kept her voice low but steady. "I'm sorry, ma'am. The uniform truck didn't make it in time. I made this myself," Veronica blinked, feigning surprise. "You made it yourself?" she repeated, her lips curling. "Well, how creative. But next time, dear, try designing something that doesn't look like you pulled it out of a laundry basket." More laughter followed. The sound bounced off the marble walls, wrapping around Maya like a cruel echo. Her manager looked away, pretending to check something on his clipboard. The other waiters avoided her eyes. No one said a word. Maya stood frozen, forcing a small, polite smile. She wanted to disappear, to melt into the floor, but she didn't let herself cry. "Yes, ma'am," she whispered, and walked away quietly. As she turned, she heard someone at a nearby table murmur, "Well, she tried." And a few people laughed again. Inside, her heart cracked. Not because of the words, she had heard worse, but because they came from someone she had looked up to her whole life, someone who once stood for creativity and courage. She didn't go back to the main hall after that. She slipped into the back corridors, helping with cleanup and refilling trays where no one could see her. She moved silently, numb. Every few minutes, her eyes burned, but she kept blinking away the tears. By the time the event ended, it was late. Guests were leaving with gift bags and smiles, complimenting Veronica on her brilliant show. The ballroom lights dimmed as workers began clearing tables. Maya stepped outside to the pool area to get some air. The night was quiet now, except for the sound of waves in the distance. The pool lights glowed pale blue, reflecting on the surface like glass. She took off her shoes and sat down on the low stone edge, dipping her tired feet into the cool water. The linen of her handmade dress rustled softly as the wind brushed past her. For the first time that night, she exhaled fully. She thought about her mother, who always told her, "Dignity doesn't come from what you wear. It comes from how you carry yourself." Those words echoed in her mind. Maya looked at the ribbon around her waist and smiled sadly. "You did your best," she whispered. "It's not your fault." She didn't see the man standing a few steps behind her, a young photographer named Ryan, who had been hired to cover Veronica's event. He had been there all evening, capturing the perfect shots, the guests laughing, the gowns flowing, the champagne sparkling. But now, as he walked toward the exit, his camera in hand, something caught his eye. The girl sitting by the pool. Her back was straight, but her shoulders carried quiet exhaustion. The soft wind lifted strands of her hair. The dress, simple, handmade, imperfect, caught the glow of the pool light in a way no designer gown could. It wasn't luxury. It was honesty. Ryan stopped walking. He lifted his camera halfway, then paused. "No," he muttered to himself. "I can't just take this without asking." He took a few steps closer. "Excuse me," he said gently. Maya turned quickly, startled. Her eyes widened when she saw the camera. "Oh, I'm sorry. Am I not supposed to sit here?" She started to stand up, embarrassed. He raised his hand. No, please, you're fine. I just wanted to ask you something." She blinked, confused. "Ask me?" He nodded, lowering his camera. "That dress! Did you make it yourself?" She looked down at it, almost ashamed. "Yes, I had to. The uniforms didn't come and I didn't have anything else to wear." Ryan's face softened. "It's beautiful," he said simply. She laughed quietly, a tired, unsure laugh. "It's made from an old curtain," he smiled. "Then it's the most beautiful curtain I've ever seen." Maya's lips parted slightly, unsure how to respond. No one had said anything kind to her all night. "I'm a photographer," Ryan said, lifting his camera a little. "Would you mind if I took a picture? The light right now, it's perfect. And the way your dress moves with the wind, it's something special." She hesitated. You want to take my picture? He nodded. If that's okay. Maya bit her lip, glancing down at her feet still in the pool. She thought of Veronica's laughter, the crowd, the whispers. Then she thought of how hard she had worked on the dress. The small cuts, the broken thread, the care she'd put into every stitch. All right, she said softly. Just one, she stood up, smoothing the fabric gently. Ryan adjusted his camera. Just look toward the water, he said quietly. You don't need to pose. Just be. Maya turned her head slightly, her eyes on the reflection of the lights dancing on the pool's surface. The evening wind brushed against her face. The linen of her dress swayed softly, catching the glow from the lamps above. Ryan pressed the shutter. The sound was small, but it captured something real. The tired grace of a girl who refused to let humiliation define her. He took another photo, then another, one of her standing with her hands by her sides, one where she looked down at the ribbon around her waist. In each one, her handmade dress looked effortlessly elegant. When he lowered his camera, he smiled. Thank you. Ryan looked at his camera screen. He said quietly, It's something much more. The next morning, sunlight streamed through Maya's small dorm window. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. She groaned, reached for it, and blinked at the screen. Dozens of missed calls, hundreds of notifications, and right there, her picture. It was the photo Ryan had taken by the pool. Her handmade curtain dress glowed in the golden light. The caption read, A waitress stitched her dress from an old curtain after her uniform delivery failed. Real fashion isn't bought, it's created. The post had gone viral overnight. Thousands of comments poured in, calling her dress pure, real, and beautiful. Fashion bloggers praised her creativity. One even wrote, This waitress has more soul in her design than half the runway. Maya stared at her screen, stunned. Then a smile slowly spread across her face. Tears welled in her eyes. Not from sadness this time, but joy. For the first time in her life, people saw her not as a servant, but as someone who created something worth noticing. By noon, her manager burst into the hallway. Maya, you're all over the internet. Reporters are calling. Magazines, even fashion pages. She laughed in disbelief. You're joking. I'm not, he said, holding up his phone. Look, even big designers are reacting to your picture. Her phone rang again. It was Ryan. Hey, celebrity, he teased gently. Maya laughed, her voice shaking. Don't say that. You deserve it, he said warmly. People finally see what I saw. Real beauty. That afternoon, a sustainable fashion brand called Greenweave messaged her. They wanted her to design a small eco-friendly collection inspired by her handmade dress. Maya cried when she read it. She felt like all the nights of stitching by candlelight, all the times she'd been ignored, all the quiet patience. It had finally meant something. 2 days later, she arrived in Los Angeles to meet the Greenweave team. As she stepped out of the taxi, she looked up, and her heart stopped. A massive LED billboard stood in front of her. Her picture, the same one from the pool, covered the entire screen. The beige fabric fluttered in the breeze, the blue ribbon soft around her waist. Above it, glowing words read, Inspired by simplicity, designed by Maya Wells. Her eyes filled with tears. Crowds were taking pictures, smiling, pointing up at her image. Maya laughed through her tears, her heart swelling with happiness. She had done it, quietly, without fame or money. She had made something beautiful enough to touch the world. Across town, Veronica Steele's limousine stopped at the same billboard intersection. She stepped out, ready to unveil her own campaign, but froze. The spot she'd reserved for her new collection was gone, replaced by the image of the girl she had mocked. Maya's dress shone under the sunlight, larger than life. Veronica's lips parted slightly. Cameras nearby captured her blank, stunned face. Her assistant whispered, "Ma'am, It's everywhere. For the first time, Veronica didn't have anything to say. And somewhere across the city, Maya was smiling, not out of revenge, but out of quiet, full-hearted joy. She had won without fighting back. Have you ever been judged for something small that turned out to be your strength? Share your thoughts below. Like, comment, and follow for more stories of hope. Please do comment, where are you watching from?